well for you guys?
I think it's more like I think you're at a point where you come off like the 49ers and it's like you reflect on what do we need to grow on, what do we like. I think from areas like that, it's like when you get in situations like that, how do you grow? And I think going back to basics, going back to the fundamentals, understanding how to play the blocks that you were given, understand the run game, the gun run game that we was getting. Like I thought it was a good matchup for us, and it was being.
How much of a chip on the shoulder was there from that San Francisco game as a unit?
I think, if I'm really honest with you, I think that's the growth of our unit is that we should always have the chip on our shoulder. It shouldn't matter who we play. So, like, I think, did it come out and obviously you want to right your wrongs? Of course you do. It's the same as when we lost to Arizona, you know? But, like, I think for the growth of us, it's like now the understanding of that, just having that mentality that when we walk on the field, they have to deal with us. Like, if we do the things we're going to do, we go through the process we're going to go through that week, they have to deal with us, you know, and let the chips fall where they fall.
Your your pressure rate in that game all season, but your pressure rate in that game was really high.
In which
Considering
game,
you
sorry?
didn't, this
The last game, yeah.
Chargers, considering you didn't get a sack until the final possession.
Yeah.
How how do these guys do mentally as far as still staying in the game and applying that pressure when you're not getting a tangible result a lot of times?
It's fun when you're affecting the quarterback. So, like, it's like, you know, like, if they want to throw the ball and they want to go like that, this is kind of our game. So, like, it's like they're eager to get out there, you know, like, we got a gang of rushers. So, like, it's like a fight on the sideline to get out there and want to get out and get and compete. So, I think the way these guys' mindset, and I don't want to speak for them, you can ask them yourself, is that it's more about the mission. The mission is to keep stacking wins and keep growing, you know? So, like, if we affect the quarterback, if we hit him, we pressure him, we sack him, whatever the outcome is, that it will help the coverage, you know? And then if they do their thing, then the ball comes to life, and it's kind of DQ's way of defense, like rush and cover. So, like, for us, it's like the outcome's the outcome. Just get after him. As long as we're working and communicating as one, we're all happy.
How much growth have you seen from Mozzie Smith in his first year?
That's a good question. A lot, you know, like, and I think when I think we sometimes take it for granted when you come in the game as a first round pick, you know, like the pressure that's on you, the game that you got, like college football. I'm not from. I never was in London, played in college. I didn't come in for, but the game is a lot different. You know, like the way they get told plays, like a lot of them, they're getting like 80 snaps a game, you know, like the plays moving fast, the coordinator's telling them they don't have to listen to communication. Now all of that's changed, you know, you get into a huddle, someone gives you the communication, you line up, now what am I getting? These things are changing. I think as we're going through this, Marzi's growth and understanding of how to play the game at that level is growing. You can see week in, week out, he's making marginal gains, and that's what it's about. It's not about like, he doesn't go. Like, he's around a good group of players that he's in a position where he can grow, and he's in the right place. He's doing good. Really happy for him.
Hey, I don't know if you answered this. I asked Joe Witt the same question. You guys have headliners as bookends, Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, but not a lot gets said about what Osa brings to the table. Just how important is it to have somebody who can disrupt the game from the interior of the defensive line?
I did answer that, so I'm not saying no. No, you know, like, you guys see Osa every week, like, and you probably see him in the locker room and you talk to him. He is just such a great person, like, and the amount of work he's, like, you talk about development. If you look in year on year out, Osa's made progress. Like, his game is growing, and he's always trying to unturn a stone to say, okay, how can I grow here? Like, I was literally just making a tape upstairs. This is a bye week and he wants a tape. Do you know, like, so it's like, it's how does he grow? How does he affect the game in different areas? And he is like, he's one of the, you talk about him being an unsung player in our defense, but he's one of the unsung leaders in our run. Like he does stuff that has given other people structure as a professional through the week, and he's like created that, and he's done an unbelievable job.
In what ways has he affected?
What? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say,
No.
you talk about the way he's affected the games.
Yeah.
In what way?
In many different ways. In the run game, you can see, like, last week how he showed up in the run game. He has 7 tackles. Like, in the pass game, he affects the quarterback. His game running, his ability to communicate and understand when's the right time to run a game. Some of that's on them in the defense. it just goes up and up, and he uses experiences of making mistakes to not make the mistakes. It's like, and you see those things show up in the game, like when he had an op last week where he knew there was a puller coming, and he shot the gap and made a TFL. Do you know, like, those little things are like growth in his game, where someone, if you haven't got the confidence and you haven't put in the work, you might know that they're going to do that, but you won't do that to go and make the play. You're just going to do your job and you're going to play back into the center. Like, the guys that make those real plays play with a level of confidence that allow them to make plays, not outside of the system, but they use the system to make the plays. And that's where I feel like his game is going right now.
I'm sorry, just one more follow-up, Todd. I'm sorry, because you're talking about the community. So we're talking
The tape's
about
for him,
calling
it's not for you.
like calling the stunts, like you talk about communicating, like if he's communicating.
Yeah.
So where maybe, is he initiating that now instead of like maybe earlier
He's always
in
done
his career
that.
he
Nah,
was-
he's always done that. Like, he's like, it's kind of it's different for him because he came in the system at the same time I did. So we've kind of like come through it to get, like, as I've been teaching it, like, we've grown together. So like, there's a lot of stuff me and him, Chauncy's on that too, like, that we've like delivered it I've delivered it to them at that time, and they've grown with me as we've adjusted, and they have a very good understanding of the system, you know.
With Leighton out, are you seeing this past week? Did you see a little bit less of Micah during the week, or is that routine?
That's just routine. He jumps from both to both. He's done that for the whole time, you know. So like, that's just routine.
And
As the league,
you were asked earlier
Sorry.
about you got the pressure without the sack. Micah was on the verge of 3 straight games without one, and then he had that game-defining play.
Mm-hmm.
What does that say about him and the impact that he can have?
I think it says a lot about him. You know, like, Micah's just a competitor, and I think you see the relentless nature of the way he plays, and I think to stay in a game, like, as he's becoming a more prominent position on the edge or on the D line, people are going to plan for. He's not in all the spaces every different time, so like, he's learning how to deal with that, how to be in one place, and then how to understand when an opportunity presents itself and take that opportunity, you know?
as the league leans more so into becoming an international game, you know, you guys in the league in general has the IPP program. How
Yeah.
important is it for you as far as wanting to see the pipeline from across the pond to the States kind of pick up more than it has?
Obviously, it's hugely important to me. Like, I think it's growing. I think it's gonna take a little bit of time. Like, there's these young kids playing in the NFL academy. I think there's gonna be like a split between the next 3 and 5 years where there's not much, and then suddenly there's going to be a lot. You know, more kids are playing the game, more kids are getting access to the game. The game's growing internationally, and I think we will see it. You just have to be patient with it, you know.
You've been around D-Law for a while. His sort of numbers behind the numbers this year are showing out. Anything different you see from him this year, or is it kind of the same D-Law that you've been around?
It's a really good question. I think all of them as a group have a different mindset to the way they want to approach something. And they push each other to be consistent every day. And I think if they can get that going always, we'll be in a good spot.
Can you talk about the blend of younger and older players and kind of bridging that, and maybe
Yeah.
it's rejuvenating for guys like Tank?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes age isn't a necessarily maturity thing. But no, I would say yeah, there's a young group. Like, there's a lot of young players, there's a lot of older players. I think the older guys mentor the young guys. I think some of them have been through different stuff, and it relates to them, and it shows up on game day, it shows up in practice. But I think as a group, they're extra tight, you know, like, they're just close and they enjoy each other, you know.
Kind of going back to the unsung title, we talked about Osa.
Yep.
We got another one, Endurance. Where
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't appreciate what he brings to the table. One of the
Definitely.
best run stuffers in the game, but also, you know, good on the personal QB. How important is it to have that kind of a depth piece on the edge?
Oh, it's very extremely important. You know, you have the ability to, like, DA's like, his unique trait is his, like, to me, he has elite versatility. Like, he can play at the 2-eye, he plays linebacker, he plays 3 technique, he plays end, and he can retain all the information, put it into practice. He's he's a huge part of our group, and he'll keep growing. Like, I love him.